What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Boozer here. Thanks for stopping by. In today's video, we're going to talk about the brand new events that have popped up in the Plarium Play calendar. We're going to see what this week holds in terms of the Thor Fey Hammer Titan event. So usually the schedule doesn't really update until Monday. So it was a little bit of a surprise today seeing this in the calendar. So I'm going to go over it here today. And yeah, we'll see if we can find anything, any clues about how to tackle these events in the next week. So let's get right into it. All right, so I've so far completed all the Titan points up to this point, except for the 70-point Dungeon Diver here. I'm going to wait for some regenerated energy and the new refresh of dailies to finish off this event. So I'm missing 70 points currently. Otherwise, we are definitely on pace to get the 5-star Thor soul, at least for myself. In terms of the champion chase, we still have 1 day left to handle the champion chase. It's kind of interesting that they would drop the schedule before the chase ended. I think that may be a mistake, or it might be deliberate, because they dropped the update after the 2x ancient ended, but they gave us a chance to complete the chase with this additional information. So for example, if you passed on the champion chase thinking to participate in the next week's events, now we have more information for those people that decided that. So maybe now you might decide to do the chase instead. So technically releasing it 1 day early is kind of a good thing. So yeah, I mean, it's a good thing. Also, another bit of a surprise here is this spider tournament. So initially, I didn't think that there was going to be like any kind of special restrictions on the standard dungeon tournaments. But here, we're seeing using champions from barbarian factions only. This is actually a pretty big surprise, considering that the earlier dungeon tournaments were just turn attack variations. In this case, it's an epic only one, which is actually really disgusting because, you know, this is the first time that Plarium has kind of like gave us a set of dungeons early. And so now we have an expectation. And then they switched up the second half of the dungeons. So usually whenever they gave us turn attack, it's going to be all turn attack. In this case, they're giving us turn attack, and now they're going epic only. So you can kind of see this little switch here. It's a bit of a curveball. And I think this might actually really hurt some people, because people might be expecting to get points from these dungeon tournaments, and it's like it's an easy, I think it's a 50 point dungeon event. So you see here the Fire Knight is turn attack only. It's an easy 50 hammers here, but coming up we have this spider one, and it's epic only. It's actually pretty disgusting. It's like a small-ish kind of change, but I think it's a pretty big impact one, because Barbarians is not necessarily super easy for doing spider. And this might be something that really hurts, some accounts that aren't as fleshed out, right? Obviously like super endgame accounts will find a way to do spider very efficiently. But at the end of the day, you can definitely do this tournament. You just have to lower your difficulty, find your best barbarians, and then just speed farm the lowest, most efficient level that you can. It might even be like Spider 10 or something. So it'll just be an energy sink at the end of the day. But, this could be a big roadblock for people expecting the points from here. And also, since the normal turn attack for for the dungeon is only 50 points, I would expect maybe this spider tournament to be worth maybe more. We'll break down the points, my speculative point breakdown for the upcoming week. And we'll see how it lines up, but it might be more than 50 points, so we'll see. But just make sure you guys are aware of this, because this might actually affect some people. So like I was saying, other than the 70 points from the Dungeon Divers that I've yet to finish, I basically completed every single point. You should be at 10-10 for the first week if you completed every single event. So keep that in mind, guys. And also, if you guys are going for the 5-star, you guys are only allowed to skip 250 points. So if this week so far is ending at 10-10, make sure you guys are planning accordingly for the next week with how many points you have skipped already. All right, guys, so here are the events for the upcoming week. So today is Sunday the 22nd, and we have the current events that are already active and accounted for at 110 points. Okay, so we have the Fire Knight, the Champion Chase, the Champion Training, and the Dungeon Diver, all part of this 110 total. Tag team is not going to be a part of the Fae Hammer event, so we don't have to worry about that. You can kind of see we have that barbarian only spider tournament here, and then we have another Odin's Trial. So if you remember, the previous Odin's Trial was worth 100 points. This back half of events total is worth 740 points. So this is worth 100 of those points right here. So after that, we do know that the Odin Trial is going to be worth 100. We can assume that the Classic Arena is 30. These are pretty much a given. For example, currently the Artifact Enhancement is worth 100. The way it's broken down in the first one was 40, 60. In previous ones, I've seen 30, 70. Either way, the threshold is actually quite high for this. I think that's pretty normal. It's in the second last threshold. So it's over 5,000 points. So you're probably expecting to spend like 25 million silver probably. Around there, but it's a decent amount of points. If you have silver, it's like kind of easy to get, but if you don't have silver, then it's going to be a stressor for sure. After that, so far the current dungeon diver is 100, so we can maybe input that as 100. So we actually have 1, 2, 3. So I think what people are realizing here is that there is an Adventurer's Deck of Fate, and this is probably the premier question mark in this whole Fae Hammer event stuff. If you go into the Plarium play, it's not going to give you too much info here, but it does give you some valuable info. It says it's going to be artifact rewards. So we've seen this in the past where they've given out some pretty nice artifact rewards. And personally, I've done most of these events where they've given up some cool artifacts. So last time they gave like protection and stone skin pieces, which are really, really good. You only really get those from like Hydra Clash, and this was a pretty big dump of accessories and gear for those sets, which was really good in the last Artifact Deck of Fate. In this case, I can't really see them offering another set or sets that can be that enticing, unless they're willing to give Stone Skin and Protection again. I think other than that, especially with the new Hydra chests, they're not as important or not as, sought, not as sought after in terms of like rarity anymore. So maybe it's not worth, whatever the requirements will be. But based on the positioning of this event, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, with no summon event, lined up, it's likely to be shard related for this Deck of Fate. So what I've been saying on this channel is that, yes, was expecting a Deck of Fate to the point where I was like, yeah, this is 100% happening. And you know what? It's here. 100% it's a Deck of Fate. But I was expecting it to be Freya. And I think it's probably a good thing that it's not Freya, because the Champion Chase and the Summon Rush from last week was so good that I think the majority of people actually did it. And this allows them to be able to skip this Deck of Fate at the end of this Fae Hammer Titan event. Because if it was Freya, people might be enticed to do the Freya Deck of Fate, even though they've already done the Chase and the Summon, which means they're probably just going to overpoint themselves or have too many points. So here you can efficiently probably skip this if it's not a very good artifact Deck of Fate. You can probably effectively skip this and still be okay for your 5-star Thor. So if these point values are so far in line, right, we have 330 spoken for. So some people were afraid that the Deck of Fate would be worth 300 points, but based on the previous Deck of Fate, it's probably going to be worth 200 points. And that's where I'm going to put it at right now, which means it can be a full skip based on my projected point totals here. So we have 530, which leaves this special epic only spider tournament. And this Ice Golem one, man, it's not epic only, barbarian only, which is probably even worse. And then we have this special like Ice Golem event, which is probably going to be in a similar fashion. It might be, specific faction or other specific requirements. But so it leaves those two events and the warm-up event, which is a nice, nice little gimme, right? The warm-up event is a nice little gimme. Right now we're sitting at 530. The only math breakdown that kind of makes sense to me is 80, and then 50. So this gives us 210. So this is a perfect 740 based on my projected point totals for everything. So I'm going to let you guys take a moment to like soak this in. If this doesn't make, reasonable sense, let me know in the comments below what you guys think most likely is a projected outcome. But if this is accurate, the 80 points for the spider tournament and the Ice Golem is actually a kind of a big wrench that it throws into people's plans. Because if you cannot do both of them because of the hard restrictions on them, that's 160 points down the pipes, right? And that's actually quite a bit of points to lose from events that you were pretty much expecting to auto do. However, there's a little bit of a catch up here with the warm-up event for 50 points if this is projected to be accurate. So 50 points here for free is, obviously a good thing. And then 200 points from an Adventurer's Deck of Fate that you potentially could skip. Again, very good. But if you're stuck doing the Adventurer's Deck of Fate for the artifacts, it might not have been part of your plan, and it might not be the best because now you're getting some artifacts that you might not care about. So I don't know. I think this is kind of, Plarium kind of just turning the screws on us a little bit, just making it just a little bit more difficult, just offering us just a little bit less than what we can reasonably stomach, and then throwing in a warm-up event there with some little Titan points just to keep us a little bit happy. But I think overall this is a kind of nasty play, but this also means that Freya will probably come up sometime during the Asgardian weeks to come, right? Because the Asgardian event's still happening. It's still happening. It's still happening for a couple weeks until I believe the somewhere in October. I think end of October, probably a month away. So we can expect the Freya Deck of Fate maybe to happen just before the fusion, or during the fusion, or just after the fusion, who knows. But this warm-up event also signifies that there's probably going to be a fusion popping up pretty soon. And usually it's going to be, right after the warm-up event. So that means the Thor event, which is going to end on Monday the 30th, we're probably going to be ending up with the fusion, as I predicted, on the 4th. Makes sense, guys. So anyways, guys, it's a pretty crazy, obviously sequence of events. We have all this Thor events ending on the Monday, and then instantly we go right into the fusion. It's an interesting timing for it because on the 4th, it doesn't really, it gives you about, let's say it gives 2 weeks for the fusion. Maybe we have 1 week off, and then I could totally see another fusion on the 31st for Halloween. So keep in mind that every year, Plarium always does the Halloween fusion very late in October. So I would put money, I would bet that the 31st on Halloween will be the fusion, giving us 2 weeks approximately to complete the fusion that starts on the 4th, and giving us a 1 week downtime until the next fusion. So there won't be a Titan event or anything about that leading up to it. The other thing that could happen is that they might give an epic fusion. This has happened before in the past as well, where they basically just shoehorn in like a very short fusion. So that might be something that might happen as well. But I would probably put money that the 31st would be a Halloween specific fusion. Just something to keep in mind for your long-term radars, guys. All right, so jumping back into the schedule here. So it might be a good thing if you guys are low on shards. Now that you have the Adventurer's Deck of Fate that looks most likely like a skip, most likely going to be part of the obviously Summon Rush variant for Thursday, Friday, Saturday. You can probably save your shards for the Deck of Fate if you were had everything completed up to this point that you can skip 200 points. Keep in mind that also this is going to be a personal reward CVC. So obviously this 2 days, Odin's Trial is probably going to be pretty buck wild, but it's probably worth your while to probably spend your resources here for silver to try to build up personal reward points instead of energy, because you have the ice golem here to double dip with the dungeon divers here. Just something to consider if you guys are planning to spend energy. Maybe it might be worthwhile to spend energy in ice golem as opposed to spending it here, since you can double dip into the dungeon diver. Anyways, guys, let me know in the comments below what you guys think about all this. Do you guys think that this barbarian only spider tournament is a pretty big screw job from Plarium just to mess us up in terms of what our expectations are? Keep in mind that the first dungeon tournaments were turn attack, and now they're suddenly faction only potentially. And then who knows what will happen with this ice golem event. What if it was, a very tough faction? Maybe it's like Sylvan Watcher only or something. It could be really, really tough to do this ice golem, and who knows what they're going to do with it. 80 points is obviously more than what you would expect to lose from these events if you were not able to complete them. Also a second Odin's Trial, so they're really leaning on this again. I did mention in my first video that Odin's Trial I do feel is, you know, not something that is super early or mid-game friendly, because not everyone will have a very good Odin's Trial team, right? Like, it is a newer dungeon, not everyone will have it. Of course, it's probably a priority for people to build, but not everyone will have it, right? So putting 100 points here, again, is very tough for some of those accounts as well. So I don't really like that. They probably should have allocated 150 points to the Dungeon Diver. But yeah, it is what it is here. So hopefully this makes sense. Hopefully this is a reasonable guess for you guys. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think and how you guys are doing on this Bayhammer event. Yeah, have a great rest of your Sunday. And thanks for watching. Appreciate your time. And I'll see you guys in the next video.